Today, thank God more Cyberpunk news. Wait, we have to talk about GameStop too? Oh, this is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint.
Long night?
It takes forever to read all the hot takes on the stock market. Well, that escalated rapidly. At least at time of recording, it's still pretty high up there. Look, this is not really a CheckPoint story anymore. The fact that it's GameStop of all stocks is largely irrelevant to the story that hobbyist stock trading goofballs are laughing in the face of the market. But here we are. There is a lot of extra nuance and ancillary stuff that I'm not going to get into. And I'm going to try and explain the crux of it as plainly as I can, because it turns out trading and investing stocks is basically impenetrable to most people, and that's very much by design. If you think a stock will go down, you can essentially, and I'm being very loose with the language here, borrow the stock and sell it again at its current price, so that by the time you have to actually pay for it, it's cheaper than you sold it for, and you've made a profit. That's short selling. If that stock goes up, that's probably bad, but investors tend to just borrow even more stock at this new higher price because they're still sure that it's going to crash, and then they'll cover their losses that way. Which brings us to GameStop. As previously reported on CheckPoint, GameStop is a shit company run by assholes, so investors have been so sure it's heading down, they've been buying every available share to make the most they can when it inevitably crashes. Enter WallStreetBets, a subreddit community that certainly appeared to be an almost frat boy style community of dank memes and goofy stock tips, but that has at least a few very savvy traders among their numbers. They started buying GameStop shares. Maybe it was a joke to some to start, for others, probably not, but enough of them bought enough cheap shares that the stock price went up. And up. We reported last week that it was at this wild astronomical high of $40, and now it's over $300, or maybe more, or down. Who knows? It's changing all the time. This story will probably be outdated between recording and uploading to YouTube, and that's a matter of hours. The point is, WallStreetBets see themselves as the little guy. A grassroots movement of regular folks using the stock market to stick it to greedy hedge fund managers. Because if they can hold on and not sell, then when the time comes for those hedge fund managers to pay back the shorted shares, then the hedge funds are going to be losing billions of dollars. Melvin Capital, who has a lot riding on this, has already had to take a nearly $3 billion emergency cash infusion from other asset management firms just to stay solvent. Must be nice to be able to do that. I wonder why WallStreetBets users see themselves as the good guys here. Because the real takeaway, however it shakes out, is that very few people really understand how all this works, which is on purpose, because they do stuff like this all the time. Mess with companies just to make money on the stock market. That's how it's supposed to work. GameStop stock is now worth way more than that of Best Buy, Walmart, and Target, which, taken at face value, means that GameStop, as a company, must be much more popular, successful, and well-managed than any of those other companies. To think otherwise would imply that stock price has no bearing on the actual value of a company, and the whole underpinning of the financial system is as arbitrary as a game of baseball, which would be ridiculous, right? A bunch of very worried Wall Street people and companies are calling for regulations to stop this sort of thing happening. The app most of these people are using, which is run by a hedge fund, now won't let you buy GameStop stock anymore. But nothing that anyone has done here is illegal. It's literally how it's designed. Just a bunch of internet idiots aren't supposed to be the ones doing it.
If you're new to CheckPoint, welcome. We are Canadians, filming in Canada and speaking in Canadian. We eat Canadian food, drive on Canadian roads, and make love in the Canadian fashion. And one thing we love, we're absolute idiots for, is when other people around the world remember we exist. For example, Nintendo just did a Switch ad with Annie Murphy of TV's Schitt's Creek, and all of a sudden, people were shocked that Nintendo was raising the price of the Switch to $400. Why, hang on, isn't that already the price of a Switch in Canada? Yes, it is, because this ad was from Nintendo of Canada. That ad, that was for us. It's not for you. Get a grip. Not everything broadcast in the English language is just for you, Americans. And yes, us Canadians have our own dollar. So do the Aussies and the Kiwis. And every time we go shopping online, we have to assume those dollar signs aren't our dollar signs. So we have to add fucky % to the total and then double the total to get shipping. That's life where we live. We're your biggest trading partner and share the largest undefended border in the world, and you still make people that think Nintendo would hike the price of a Switch by $100 instead of the more reasonable, oh, that must be for another country. Like, shit, you keep calling us your hat, but some of you are too dumb to know you're wearing us right now. Anyway, congrats to Canadian actress Annie Murphy and the rest of this cast and crew from the CBC hit show Schitt's Creek for walking across the border to bring back 9 of your goddamn Emmys in 2020. Way to let them know we exist.
Fall Guys developer Mediatonic is releasing another mid-season update, named by the community as Stop It With the Yeets, Name It Anything Else, Just Don't Include the Word Yeet, Please I'm Begging You. Which doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but it's certainly evocative. It's got a new level, some returning, previously time-limited costumes, and over 40 variations to existing levels to keep your bean competition fresh and interesting. It also adds penguin murder, because the Pegwin characters of Bert, Bort, and Bart, who are objective items on certain levels, have been added to other levels as decoration, allowing players a chance that is being advertised as a feature to pick them up and drop them off the side of the level, just like in Cool Cool Mountain back on Mario 64. Of course, doing that would have made you unable to complete the star, and you'd be a monster. Why is there gaming nostalgia for killing a baby penguin? What am I doing with my life?
The Polymega is a console I think I've heard of that was supposed to go on sale at Walmart this year. However, it's been pushed back further in 2021, and now its manufacturer Polymega is canceling the Walmart pre-orders. But don't fret, Polymega is instructing all pre-orderers on how to reorder their console. I mean, as long as those customers also have a fetish for photo filters because they release this PR missive via Instagram. Ah, a beauty, isn't it? If I can just tear this apart for a minute, I'll give you points for resisting the urge to go black on yellow, but caps lock is not cruise control for communication. Clearly, this wasn't written by anyone in PR because the only thing I'm focusing on is the phrase, "We are taking matters back into our own hands," which I'm hoping is a threat of some sort. I don't know to whom. I don't even care if it's me. I just think more companies need to burn PR cycles being cartoonishly ominous. Anyway, there's a code so you can get $50 off your pre-order. Not a bad deal to make $50 after holding a pre-order for 3 years? Nice. Maybe flip that 50 into buying some stocks of a failing company. Is Briex still around?
2 pieces of Cyberpunk 2077 modding news, one much more interesting than the other. First, an official set of mod tools has been released by developer CD Projekt Red, who of course have a roadmap to fix the game, but why not lend them a hand, freelance style? I'm kidding, of course, because players had already been making their own mods, like fixing the game's god-awful minimap, or allowing male-presenting player characters to romance the character of Judy Alvarez, who is canonically gay, so that's maybe a lot to unpack, but it's not like Judy is a real person, which brings us to the second piece of Cyberpunk 2077 modding news, which is that CDPR has a particular rule when it comes to user-generated content like game mods. Don't be weird. Okay, more accurately, they say it can't be harmful towards others, and that harm could take the form of using the digital avatar of a real human actor who agreed to be in the game and making it have sexy times with the players, which the actor did not agree to. I'm talking about Keanu Reeves. It doesn't seem like any complaint came from the actor himself, but CDPR has said you cannot jack into Johnny Silverhand, or have him jack into you, whatever they call it in Night City. I don't know. The point is, it's weird because the character looks just like Keanu Reeves, the real human being who exists, and you're making his digital avatar do stuff he did not agree to, which is like way more dystopian horrifying than the game's actual plot. Stop it, you horn dogs.
Okay, but Which Keanu?
What do you mean? The one from the game?
No, like Bill and Ted Keanu, Point Break Keanu.
No, present day Keanu.
Oh, so like new Bill and Ted Keanu.
No, beardy Keanu.
Much Ado About Nothing Keanu.
No, Cyberpunk Keanu.
Oh, Matrix Keanu.
The other Cyberpunk Keanu.
Okay, who would want to fuck Johnny Mnemonic Keanu?
Most people.
Coming up, a new Tomb Raider animated series is coming to Netflix following the continuity of the reboot trilogy. But since it's a narrative, there probably won't be scenes of Lara Croft being killed in weirdly gruesome ways. That's all I remember about these games. I need to redo my one where I fumbled the word aren't.
I was going to say, it was the word aren't.
Aren't, yeah. We have to assume those dollar signs aren't. I don't know why it came with aren't.
Errand. I have made an errand. So speaking of Canadian stuff, I like that when we started doing news things, way back when it was the Escapist News Network, it was much more dry. Like it was much. It was much more like This Hour Has 22 Minutes.
It had to feel like it was a real news show.
Yeah, and the GameStop story would have been like the GameStop, people are shorting these stocks, and in response, GameStop is trying to put people off buying their stocks by forcibly including a Funko Pop with every order.
Yeah.
It would have been like, this is the news and this is the thing.
And here's the twist, yeah.
Yeah, and then when we started doing CheckPoint, it was a lot more just sort of like weekend update where it's like oh, this there's the GameStop stocks, and maybe you can take those stocks and trade them into GameStop for a quarter of their value.
Yeah.
But now we've progressed to tearing down the structures that cause financial inequality is hilarious, actually.
Yeah. Weirdly that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind
I like
of,
our evolution.
Yeah, I have every so often wanted to kind of pivot back to that Norm Macdonald weekend update thing of being like, well, who you can blame on the GameStop stock rise? Frank Stallone, like that kind of energy where it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Very non sequitur energy.
Yeah.
We haven't got there yet. We'll see. I did end up talking about Schitt's Creek for like an entire story when it was really just a Nintendo story to begin with. But
I've never heard you pronounce the word roads in a more Canadian.
Drive on Canadian roads.
Roads?
Roads.
Yeah, that was good.
I guess I could have said streets, avenues, boulevards,
Crescents.
What do we have in Canada they don't have anywhere else for a road? Cul-de-sac. That's French.
Rise? Terrace?
Should I stop over?
Yeah.
Probably.